Think we're live.
We are live, Mr. Scott.
We are live. Hey, it's good to be here. Obviously, we have no idea who's watching us right now, Chauncey. So if you are with us, why don't you give us a shout out? Go to the hey, Rotterdam. Hello from Rotterdam, Chris Malone. I'm assuming that's Rotterdam, the Netherlands. Little trivia about Scott Lindsey here. I actually lived in the Netherlands for 4 years, long time ago. So actually know a lot about the Netherlands, love the Netherlands. So hello from Rotterdam. And so far we've got some, all right, so Chris is giving a thumbs up. It is Rotterdam, the Netherlands. We got Springfield, Missouri, St. Paul, Minnesota. All right.
Buffalo, Chicago.
Buffalo, Trinidad, West Indies.
Wow.
I'm a little jealous now. I don't even know what time it is there. Scotland, the Chauncey, the country that was named after me. We got. Is there anybody from Chauncey land?
Yeah. Hey, there you go.
No. There is none.
No. Well, I see someone from Kansas City. I didn't catch the game. The Chiefs lost last night, didn't they?
By 1 point.
Oh, sorry.
The Chiefs won. Yeah. There's some Raiders fans, Chauncey. They just left. They're like, yeah, that was a cruel setup there, Chauncey. You know who won.
Sorry.
They won by 1 point.
Well,
Welcome, Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. There's my neighbor in Dallas, Texas. There you go.
Grant, and don't get Chauncey going on them Cowboys right now. That'll sidetrack our whole Logos Live today. So let's just stay on Logos 10 because that's what we're here to see today.
There we go.
Vancouver.
Vancouver. Anthony Brennan, he came up with Chauncey land, so it's a thing. It's official.
It's a thing. All right. I believe it. I believe it. I might have to search for it in Logos, but we'll see. All right. Well, I think we had a ton of people sign up. Very, very exciting. Yeah. And I want to give a disclaimer, and then we'll do some introductions. Well, let's do that now. My name is Scott Lindsey. Might recognize the beard and some things in the past. I've had this thing ever since I got out of the military. This is my military rebellion stage, but Chauncey, I got out like 30 years ago, so I need the rebellion. I just knock it off. My mom can't stand it, but my wife likes it. And, happy wife, happy life. So the beard is staying. And Chauncey, I've noticed you're competing with me. You're
Scott, last time we did this, it was L9, and I was a little more full. And so I was growing it. I was trying to get that Scott Lindsey look. And then about 3 weeks ago, I said, let me just go and cut it off. And my wife gave me the meanest look ever. So you're talking about happy wife, happy life. Okay, that's why it's coming back. So I'm about 2 weeks in. So give me another, couple of months. I'll be back at your level.
All right. Well, and Chauncey, tell us a little bit about yourself, your role at Faith 5, and then we're so excited about. I've had this on my calendar for weeks. We are gonna show you our favorite new features in Logos 10. But Chauncey, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so Chauncey Allmond, that's Allmond. It's the nut with 2 L's. I manage the national presenter team. So if you go to a conference and you see one of the folks on stage demoing logos, that's the team I manage. I'm one of them as well. Scott hits the stage as well. And so, man, we're excited to hit the stage again with Logos 10, but no stage this time, but we're virtual. So Scott and I are here to knock that out for you. But that's me. And I live in Frisco, Texas, which is the headquarters of the Dallas Cowboys, about 10 minutes away. So hey, had to throw that in, So
and they're a football team.
See, Scott has jokes. So cameraman, can we cut Scott out? He's misbehaving already. So, but yeah, that's me. So Scott, what about you? I'm sure everyone knows you, but just remind everyone.
Yeah, so I've been here a while. Actually, next month, the 12th, this will be my 25th year here at Faith Life. And, yeah, I just absolutely love my job, or something's wrong with me if I've been doing this for 25 years. But yeah, I speak at conferences, do webinars, travel the globe, and just trying to help equip the body of Christ to do better Bible study, and that's what we're all about. And we're very, very excited again to show you our favorite features in Logos 10. So as you know, yesterday was launch. I was at the office, Chauncey, at 5 a.m. It was a lot
Wow.
of excitement. We filled the room up, hit the button, it went live, and Chauncey, my phone started blowing up from people like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to talk about some features that some people are like, I don't know what is going on at Faithlife, but how in the world did you think of that, develop that, things like that. So, but I do want to give a disclaimer. I don't know about you, Chauncey, but I don't do much with betas. Logos has been in the
Right.
development stages for years, and I kind of wait. I've been here a while, Chauncey. I know. Yeah, I like to be surprised. I want to see the final product, right? So I've only been using Logos 10 for a couple weeks now, and
Yep.
I'm discovering stuff every day. No joke. Again, I was at the office at 5 a.m. Got home pretty late last night. I'm still at the dining room table at 1 a.m. playing with Logo. My wife is like, will you go to bed? You work there, Scott. Just stop it already. I was like, honey, you got to come see this. Isn't. So anyway, I say that to just kind of say that Chauncey and I are both kind of new to
Yep.
Logos 10. But we did figure out at least 10 of our favorite new features. So with that, I think someone that's controlling all the backward stuff and that, the producer is going to share my screen now. Is that correct, Jason? Are we good to share Scott Lindsey's screen? And there we
There
go.
you
Maybe,
go.
or do I have to? Can you see my screen? You can see it. Is that
Yep.
right,
We can
Chauncey? Just
see
give
it.
me a verbal. All right, all right.
Yep. We can see it.
So, first thing right out the gate, if you've not seen Logos 10 yet, you notice something changed. A whole new interface. And I tell you what, I love the new interface. The reason I love the new interface is it kind of gives me more room now with my books, with my Bible. Notice that the tools now have moved to the left side of the screen. They forever have been up there at the top. And then again, you'd click and it would kind of take up half the screen. You're reading a book. So I really like everything now moved over to the left. Now, I want you to notice that you can have an expanded sidebar, or notice in the bottom left corner, you can, click this little arrow here and it will, kind of move the sidebar even further to the left, allowing you, again, more real estate for your study and so on. So again, there's your choice. Now, for those of you that don't like change, but Logos 10 is all about change, right? We're changing the game. Okay. Some of you are like, I don't like the left. I want it back up the top. You can change it. Okay. You can go into program settings, you can put it back at the top. But listen, leave it over on the left. It's awesome on the left. You want more real estate in the middle, right? So Chauncey, you seen Men in Black?
I
The
have.
movie, and they had that
Yep.
little. So I just told everybody how they can put it back at the top, but I kind of don't want people to know that. So here's one of those Men in Black. I just did the thing. Everybody's memory went gone for the last 30. So just keep it to the side, okay? But again, if you want it up top, you can put it back up top. All right. Now the other thing in Logos, and I'm gonna throw out some technical jargon that I'm gonna pretend I know what I'm talking about, but I kind of don't. But speed is a major new feature of Logos 10. I would say, Chauncey, of the last 24 hours, from major ministries, pastors, preachers that got Logos 10, they're all texting me, Chauncey, going, what happened under
Yep.
the hood? This
Yep.
thing is crazy fast. On not just desktop, mobile.
Mhm.
Searching is unbelievably fast. So why is it so fast? Well, here's the technical jargon. It is now written in .NET 6, and if you're on the new Apple M1 or M2, it's Apple Silicon. So we finally were able to develop Logos 10 on Apple Silicon, which is the new chipset, M1 and M2. So it doesn't have to be translated anymore if you're on the Mac side of things, okay? And so major speed boosts on both sides, Windows or Apple, but if you have a Mac, you are going to notice a radical difference in how responsive indexing is unbelievably fast, searching is fast. And so, I kind of forget sometimes, I have my favorites, but that has been a favorite from so many people that have upgraded to Logos 10. Okay. Now, I'm about to show you probably one of the most visually amazing new tools, and we've had it for a while, but we really focused on it for the last couple years, and it's called Timeline. Chauncey, you're up on stages at conferences. I'll be honest, I don't show Timeline a lot. I am now. There's so many new advancements in the advanced Timeline. So as you know, Timeline is a tool. So I just clicked here on tools, and there now, again, if you've upgraded to Logos 10, is the advanced Timeline. Now, if you're familiar with Timeline, which most of you are, you'll notice up in the right-hand corner of the screen, you've got some ways to view the information in the timeline. I want to point out, though, on the left, that the new advanced timeline has 18,000 plus points of inquiry, okay? And I'll explain all the different ways that you can look at the timeline. But first thing is your viewing options. You can view your timeline by subject type, just subject. You can focus just on the biblical eras, or you can look at history. I'm just going to leave everything as is default. And then your fit button. Okay, a lot of people don't even know this has existed for a long time, that little button. But when you click the fit button, this allows you to pick your time period. And I want you to notice that the timeline is broke into two time periods. You got Bible and church eras, right? So when we scroll down, there's the Bible and, again, church eras, or you have your Western history eras, right? The Middle Ages, Renaissance, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and select, let's say, the Babylon captivity. Okay, so there is the timeline, and I see what I'm looking at up there in the corner, 604 to 538 BC. And as you know, or may not know, if you've never opened up the timeline, what makes the Logos timeline so different than something that you might be able to find on the internet or what have you, is that it's a timeline that you actually interact with. So not only is it just gorgeous to look at and see who existed, what's going on in a certain time period, but if you click on any of the bars that you see, so here's the prophetic career of Daniel, right? If I click the bar, Logos Now just linked me to the information in my library about that person, place, or thing, right? So there's my article out of Anchor, ISB, New Bible Dictionary. Now, that's one way that you can interact with your resources in the Logos 10 Advanced Timeline. Or I kind of like to do it this way, Chauncey. I like to click the little information window up in the corner, and now I just click around. So again, it's kind of the same information, but I just like to click the bar and what I'm looking at, and then instantly have access to my article. So now I'm going to go ahead and click the International Standard Bible Encyclopedia, and look, there is the information now on Daniel. So again, it's a timeline that you actually interact with, which makes it pretty awesome. Now, praise the Lord. One of the things that the developers fixed, if there was a fix in the old timeline, was this problem or issue. I would go up here, Chauncey, I would type the word Herod, and then I would be staring at a blank screen. Now, the reason I would be staring at a blank screen is Herod didn't live during the Babylonian captivity, right? So we just kind of left you there to figure out, okay, when did Herod live, right? So what we've done now is is fixed that little thing that used to drive me a little crazy. Now when I type Herod, we just take you to Herod, right? So we're going to move you to the correct time period, and voila, I've typed in Herod, and now I see where he was in history and so on and so forth. And again, I could click right here on the life of Herod and instantly get to my articles in my library and so on. So awesome new little tweak in the new advanced timeline. Now, I want to show you, though, on the left-hand side of the screen, and this is where you're going to see why we've called it the advanced timeline, is all these new categories to filter your timeline. I'm actually going to start from the bottom and move my way up. So places would be for someone that wants to look at a place. So I come over here and I want to, now I'm going to go ahead and make sure that, again, if I click one of those times, it would be looking for Herod during those times. So let's get back to all of the timeline. So I've taken out a word, a filter. So now I'm going to go ahead and say, you know, I kind of want to look at Chauncey, Egypt. So now when I've clicked Egypt, now again, I have designated the timeline to give me the data for the place called Egypt. So there, I'm giving the example of how you can filter the timeline by a place. Obviously, you can go to people groups, right? So you could filter on Paul, Herod the Great, so on and so forth. But there is a new facet, if you will, or data type in the event type called church history theme. So this is new. So for all of you church history buffs, you love to dig into church history, this is a major new advancement in the Logos timeline. So let me go ahead and click this and show you, you know, Jesus commissions the church, and then here's the church. And I was in here, this is one of those, I think this is where I was when my wife said, Scott, it is 1 o'clock in the morning, you have got to go to bed. I clicked here on the Trinitarian controversies, right? Now, this is a new resource that we've added to supplement the timeline. It's called right here, Church History Themes. It's an amazing new resource from Lexham. I clicked it, and Chauncey, look at what it brings me. It brings me to that point that I was looking at. But look at this. It summarizes the Trinitarian controversies. It gives me key developments. It gives me key people with regards to this. It gives me key events. It gives me key places. It gives me key concepts. So a lot of very big words that I need to understand in order to actually understand this point in church history. And then key documents. You know, I see a link right here to the Apostles' Creed. So yes, I click the Apostles' Creed, and guess what Factbook does? It goes and finds all the information on the Apostles' Creed. So again, the big difference between our timeline and anything else I've ever seen is it's a timeline that you actually interact with. You click around, you get to your books, your library, and so on and so forth. Now, let's go back to the timeline. I keep hitting the wrong button. There we go. Everybody see the timeline again? Yes, we're good?
Yep, good.
Okay. And another thing that I was in here yesterday, I will also show the different subject areas. You can look at just biblical events, just biblical studies, just church history, or just world history. But I love the fact now that I have the ability to kind of dive in to either common divisions of the Bible, or I can jump into just the Bible itself. So if I want to see everything that's kind of going around in the book of Acts, there we go, right? And click and it'll go to your library. But, you know, some people might be saying, you know, that's awesome. It looks visually amazing, but, you know, what do you actually learn from a tool like this? So I went in here and I typed in the word Corinth, and I discovered something kind of, you know, there's Paul and Corinth and whatever. And Chauncey, this is what, you know, I just started scrolling down a little bit, and I noticed right at the time that Paul was living in Corinth, there were the games in Corinth, right? And so I went in here and I said, okay, the games in Corinth, and I clicked my little article there, and voila, the insight I learned, Chauncey, was, you know, and we know this about Paul. Look what Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians, right? He talked about the athlete that exercises self-control. And then he's giving this encouragement to Timothy about, you know, play by the rules and run the race and train. And I was like, well, how cool is that, that the games were going on at the time that Paul was in Corinth? So, you know, and I think we know this. If you're a preacher, pastor, one of the goals, I would say, in preaching and writing sermons and so on, is to contextualize, right? Mm-hmm. To use the common language and what's going around the time and so on, to kind of illustrate. And I love the fact again that there's Paul in Corinth right at the same time these games are going on, and then all of a sudden, what do we hear Paul starting to say now as he's writing these various letters? He's using game jargon. Right. And so this is one of those little discoveries, right? As you're clicking around in the advanced timeline, that you'll discover. So The other great thing about Timeline, and I'm hoping to show this when I finish my time, is that the advanced timeline now is also available on your iPad. So all of this awesomeness, all this discovery is available on your iPad. So again, I'm hoping to show that here in a moment. So there's kind of a little quick view of the advanced timeline in Logos 10. Now I'm going to close everything out because I would say, Chauncey, the one feature that is exciting global ministry right now is this new machine translation. So I just said, well, what are we talking about? Machine translation. What is that? So I'm going to go ahead and open up a book here. I'm a big C.S. Lewis fan, so and I just kind of let the cat out the bag a little bit because there was that little button over there. But here we are in C.S. Lewis, and I'm reading, and let's just say I see this paragraph here, and I want to translate this into Korean. I want to translate this into Japanese. You can actually now in Logos 10 translate anything you select in any resource into 111 languages. So here's the pop-up that we're used to, right? Anytime you highlight anything in Logos, there's your highlighter pens. You can copy, paste, share, and so on. But this is the new little feature. It's not a little feature. It's a major feature. And Logos allows you to translate. So obviously it wouldn't make any sense to translate English to English. So here we go. We support translation from Afrikaans all the way to Zulu. So Chauncey, I have a friend, he was actually my formal pastor. He's Japanese and he's retired now and he's in Japan all the time. And as you know, only 1% of Japan is Christian. It's very hard to find resources in Japanese. And so he loves Logos. That's what he does ministry. And Chauncey, when I showed him this, like teary-eyed, like, Scott, you have no idea the impact this is going to have for me in my ministry, to be able to take what I'm learning, what I'm seeing in Logos, and instantly translate it into 111 different languages, right? So again, I think for global impact and ministry, this is huge. And again, it's not just books. I could translate my Bible, I could translate my commentaries and so on. Now, you might be watching, go, well, I'm not a missionary, Scott. How does that really benefit me? I'm not going to Japan, whatever. I see the benefit of that. But hey, I'll be honest with you. I have had Logos for a long time, and I've had a lot of things, Chauncey, that were in Latin. And great. Glad I got them. Don't know how to use them. So I just opened up Augustine's Selected Letters, which is a resource I've had in Logos for a long time, and it's in Latin, Chauncey. I don't know about you, Chauncey. I have no idea what Mr. Augustine's saying right there, right? So
no clue.
No clue. I'm going to highlight this, Chauncey, and now I'm going to translate to English, and now I'm using my Latin resources. Now, Chauncey, I gotta admit something here. Okay. I have men's group tomorrow night. When we get together, I'm going to drop in the group. I'm going to say, I was reading Augustine's Selected Letters in Latin last night, and I just discovered this thing. They're going to, wait. You read Latin? I'm like, well, yeah, that's one of the things you don't know about me. So I just put that out there, and I know a lot of you now are going to start doing that. But anyway, it allows you to use a lot of the resources we give you in Greek, Hebrew, Latin, and so on in Logos, because now, again, you can translate. So one of the most amazing features in Logos. Now, Chauncey, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm not going to ask you what's my favorite sports team, because you know that answer. I'm going to ask you, Chauncey, what is Scott Lindsey's favorite feature in all of it? What is the thing that Scott Lindsey won't be quiet about? What is that, Chauncey?
Oh, you mean an L10? Oh, easily.
Just
mobile.
Last year. No, last year was my Logos 9. What's the thing that Scott gets up on? That's the only thing Scott talks about now. Is there's one feature in Logos.
Oh man, there's so many. I don't know. I'm blown away.
It's Factbook, Chauncey. It's Factbook. Yeah. Factbook. You know that. Factbook. Scott won't be quiet about Factbook. Okay. So we made major advancements in Logos 10 with Factbook. And the reason why, Chauncey, Factbook is becoming my favorite feature to train ministries, to speak at conferences, is because I think for a lot of people, Chauncey, they get a little lost in Logos. It does so much that they like, where do I go? What guide and what tool? And so I said, hey, listen, you got to know about Factbook. And the other thing, Chauncey, I like about Factbook is it's on mobile. So it's one of the features that is truly the same on mobile as it is on your desktop. So the more you get used to Factbook, the more you use Factbook. Again, it's something available on your Android, your iPhone, and so on. So we made some major advances in the new Factbook. Okay. So again, what do you do in Factbook? Well, you type in a passage or a place or a thing or a person or a date. There's really nothing you can't type into Factbook. And Chauncey, you and I have had this discussion. I think one of the things that's really troubling me, one of the trends I see in the church that I don't think is going to be a good trend, especially over the last 4 or 5 years, is the church now is going to Google for theology. And I get it, right? Because Google's in your back pocket. It's everywhere. If I want to know something about something, I go to Google. I'm saying, listen, no, don't do that anymore. Go to Factbook. Factbook is the safe place to type in the word marriage and type something, what does this passage mean? What is this theological concept? So Factbook, as you know, gives you the ability to study the passage itself or key theology, right? So I could study 1 Peter 1:3-12, or I could study God's foreknowledge, right? But you go ahead and select what you want. I'm going to go ahead and study the passage. And lo and behold, there's commentary, there's media, there's sermon archives if you have that ability, have added sermon archives to your logos. And then there's the guides and the workflows. And you're going to talk to us about I see one right there. I see a few right there, these new workflows in logos. But what I want to show you in Factbook is something new. And I've kind of played with this a little bit, but the more I go into the way you can go into Factbook now by type, okay? So what I mean by that is if you open up the filter, so if you didn't know this existed in Factbook, open up the filter and you can select by beliefs. I want to know what are the major belief systems that I need to know about, right? I want to know about biblical prophecy. I want to know about, now this is the new one and the reason why I'm bringing you here, church history themes. So this is that data that kind of is embedded in the timeline, but you might be saying, I want to do a little study on, let's say, the rise of scholasticism, right? But I don't want to start in timeline. I just want to start reading. Like, give me all the information you can. I want to show you now there's a new facet or a new category in the Factbook called church history themes. Okay, so again, for those of you that are, love to dig into church history, I would encourage you to go to the new Factbook if you've upgraded to 10, because again, you've got this new category to filter Factbook on church history. Okay. Now, one more little thing to show about Factbook as I open my Bible is the fact that Logos 10 has added 40 million Factbook tags to your logos. Now, some of you didn't know that this has been a little feature for your Bible for a while, but now it's a feature for your library. Meaning, I've opened my Bible, and there is the Factbook tag button. And if you click it, I want you to notice, it might be hard to see on the screen, but when I click that, do you notice that a lot of words got an underline? Jerusalem got underlined, Medes got underlined, Jews got underlined. So what we're doing is giving you quick access to key articles from Factbook right there in the biblical text, okay? Now, I'm going to open up a new book, because again, this is a new feature in Logos 10. I'm opening up Anchor, and again, notice when I click the button, I have no idea, Naphtali or Galilee, and so again, now in my other books, my systematic theologies, my Bible dictionaries, my commentaries, I now have a quick link for key words that are supported in Factbook in all my books. So again, we added 40 million tags to the Logos library, which makes Factbook now even more accessible. So wanted to point that out. I want to show a couple more features. I'm gonna hand the mic over to you. It's funny, I was like, can we really do this in an hour? And now I'm wondering, I don't know if we can, but let me show you something that I love to show people when I do a training. So if I go into a church and do a staff training, or I work with a ministry, I think it's one of the most underutilized tools in Logos, and it's favorites. So where do you find favorites? You can go to tools, Scroll down till you get to library, and there's favorites, or you can drag it to your toolbar. But I always tell people one of the frustrating things, if you don't know about favorites, is what do I do with all the awesomeness that I discover in logos, right? What do I do with all this? And one of the things I love about the new favorites is the fact that I can now finally move that bar over. You were limited to like this 1.5-inch sliver. So I can now make it as big as I want. And I'm going to go ahead and I want to show you that you can add a new folder. And I'm going to call this the L10 demo, right? So I just added a folder, and I want it to be kind of its own folder. I don't want it to be a subfolder, so you can drag things around. And, I'm reading J.I. Packer's Growing in Christ, and I want to keep that article somewhere. Something really awesome here. I don't want to lose it. So I'm just going to go ahead and drag the book cover into L10 demo, and voila, that book now is in that folder. If I was to visit some of you watching today and your internet browser, you have folders. You have sports and ministry and banking. And, I've got probably 10 up on my toolbar of where I put all my favorite websites. That's what you can do in favorites. But the really amazing thing is, as you know, Logo synchronizes across all your devices. So if I opened up Logos right now on my iPhone, there's a new folder, Chauncey, called L10 Demo, and that excerpt from Growing in Christ is already there. So what can you do with favorites? Well, I work with a lot of writers. I'll give Randy Alcorn as an example. So Randy will create a folder for what he's writing, and then create folder 1 is chapter 1, then chapter 2. And as he's researching for his next book, he will, over the next few months, drag appropriately to the right folder all of his discovery and logos. And then when it's time to read the book, he's got everything in its proper folders. If you're a student, this is how I did seminary. Every single class that I took, I created a folder for the class. Week 1, week 2, week 3. What paper did I write? What test was I going to have to take? And when I discovered something in Logos that appropriately fit, one of those, I would drag it in there. The good news now is I finished seminary in 2016. I still go back to my favorites folders, Chauncey, because all the great discovery and things I learned is now in its proper place forever in Logos. So if you're not used, and Chauncey, you notice there's I got to work with the Patriots team chaplain recently, so we do a little fun stuff. There you go. I got to put my little shout out there. But if you're a pastor, I say create a folder called sermons, and then maybe create folders with each week in your sermon series, and as you're and drag the appropriate resource into the right folder. The other thing is you can drag in tools, you can drag in websites, you can drag in search results. So it's not just drag and dropping books into your folders. You can drag anything in Logos into a folder. So kind of a new way to do folders in Logos 10. A couple things that I'll be done searching. I wanted to show an amazing new feature because we now have 2,000 common questions about the Bible and faith built into Logos. Meaning, watch this. I'm going to create. I hear this all the time. Did God create sin? One of my teenagers asked me that the other day. I was like, oh, okay. How do I got an answer, but I got to give an answer. You now have in Logos got questions. It's a database of 2,000 of the most common questions asked about the Bible, about faith, and so on, built into your searching in Logos. So as a parent, I'm using this all that. Now, the reason I put it in quotes, you could just type, did God create sin? But as you know, it'll look for all the words separately. And so when I'm asking a question, I just go ahead and put it in brackets. But for those of you for practical answers to tough questions you might get about the Bible and faith, this is an amazing new addition to searching. All right, drum roll. I might have Chauncey bow his head. I'm hoping this works because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. I'm going to go ahead and I learned this little trick where I've got to open up my QuickTime player on the Mac, and I'm going to say file, new movie recording. I don't know why I've got to do all this stuff to do this. And it worked, Chauncey. There we go. All right.
Yes,
can you see my iPad, Mr. Chauncey?
I can. Yes,
okay.
sir.
So again, especially all mobile got a major advances Logos 10, Android, iPhone, so on. But if you're on the iPad, which I'm on right now, I want to show you that when you go to your menu options in iPad, there's one of the new features on iPad is your Sermon Manager. So if you've been using Sermon Builder, Sermon Manager, you have Sermon Manager now in on your iPad. So I've got my weekly grid. I've got my calendar view. So this is one of those features you're like, oh, I want this on my iPad. You now have it. I also wanted to show the reference scanner. Chauncey's going to talk about that, I think. You also have timeline. So the advanced timeline has now made it to the iPad. So this is one of those things where, yes, I was on the couch for hours with my iPad, just kind of looking at things. So iPad's probably my favorite toy. So I love the ability now to do this in Logos. But what I wanted to show in closing, I'm going to go to my Bible here, Chauncey, and there's a new behavior, if you will, on mobile that you need to know about. In the old mobile of Logos, I'm reading here verse 10, and I see Parthians and Medes and Alamites and Mesopotamia and Judea. You would have to push each word by itself, right, to figure out, do a word study or go to Factbook, whatever. So this is the new behavior. If you've upgraded to Logos 10, you now just touch the verse. So all I did, Chauncey, was just touch the verse. So I just touched verse 10. I'm now going to touch verse 9, and look what happens. Logos now automatically populates all the Factbook cards for any key person, place, or theological term in the text. So if I don't know much about, let's say, Parthians, or let's say Medes, the residents of Media, I don't know anything about that. I'm going to click more, and Logos, so right there in the window, kind of bring you some dictionary information. But if you're like, no, I want to know everything about this people group, I'm now going to hit open full entry, and then the Factbook brings you the goods. Okay, so media, articles, scroll down, Factbook just brings you all kinds of great things. So just wanted to show on mobile now, just tap the verse and Factbook does all the work, does all the heavy lifting, brings up all those little cards for you to do amazing Bible study now on your mobile devices. All right, with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Chauncey to show his favorite 5, 6, 3, 4, don't know features in Logos 10. And with that, Mr. Chauncey.
Thanks, Scott. Hey, I'm going to piggyback on what you just said about mobile. So guys, just so you guys know, I was at a conference, 2 weeks ago, and it was a huge conference, Dr. Joel Gregory and a lot of, big name pastors. And I'm about to go on stage, and I get a text from Scott, and he's like, hey, you got a sec? And I'm like, well, give me a minute. And then a few minutes later, he's like, hey, can you call me? I'm like, Scott, I got to go on stage. So I go on stage, I do my Logos demo, I come off stage, I give Scott a call. I'm like, what is going on? He's like, dude, have you seen the new Logos 10 on mobile? He was just going on and on and on and on and on. So I point that out because Scott's been around for a long time, and I've never seen him get so excited about a feature like I've seen him, heard him get excited about mobile. So that's why I thought you were talking mobile when you said your favorite feature, because he almost prevented me from going on stage. But anyway,
but I still did mobile. But what did I talk about? Factbook, best feature in Logos.
All right, so I'm going to show you a couple of some of my favorite ones that I really like as well. So again, not gonna duplicate anything that Scott showed because there's enough to go around. So Scott, can you give me a thumbs up? Do you see my Logos now?
I see it.
All right, good. So I'm gonna start with a feature that has gotten a lot of press in the past 24 hours. And it is the ability to add your print library books, your print books, the books that are on your physical shelf in your library right now at home, at your office, and you can add those into your Logos digital library. So on the back of the book, it has that ISBN code, and you can use your mobile app, and you can click on that ISBN scanner, take a picture of it, and guess what? It adds that book into your Logos library. Now, when you do that, first of all, you have to, the book has to be a part of the Logos library. So you just, it's not just any book, but I forgot how many thousands of books that Logos has to offer, but if it's there, you can add it. So I'm going to go to my library because I've added a couple of books. I think I've added about 3 of them now. So I click on my library and it pulls up all of my resources in my library. So I'm going to scroll down here. You see where it says print library. That's the name of the feature, the print library.
Yeah, Chauncey, we can't see the library.
You can't. All right. So let me go here and let me switch. Let me stop sharing and I'm going to come back and share again. Sharing.
And I know the number. It's over 100,000 books you have access to now. Print. You know, to do the scan and get in your system. Over 100,000. There we go. I see it. Perfect.
There you go. You see it now? Okay. Thanks. So you see here, it says Imprint Library 3, right? So I click on those, and these are the 3 that I scanned in on yesterday. I think I did this. So there's a book by John Piper. There's a book by R.C. Sproul. 2 books by R.C. Sproul. So that's a way that you can get the book in your library. Now, it's not going to give you the ability to like read the whole book, but you'll see here in just a second what it can do for you. But that's huge. I talked to someone today, and he said that his wife had him go through and scan all of the books in his library on the shelf to get them added into Logos. So you're probably wondering, okay, that's great, right? But you say I can't necessarily read all of the books or the whole book. So what good is it? Well, let me go to the search feature now. So you're seeing the search feature now, right, Scott? You see it on the screen?
Yep, we got it.
Okay. All right. So now, admittedly, I don't know about you, Scott, but admittedly, the search feature is a feature that I haven't really used a lot in Logos. I've been using Logos for many years. I've always gone to, most recently, Factbook, or I go over here in the top left, which we used to call the Go box. I would type in a topic or a passage, click that button, get all the information. But now, because of L10, I'm sold. I'm sold on the search feature, right? And so I go here to search, and you see here across the top, this hasn't changed. So you have the different resources that it's asking you. What do you want to search? You can search everything, that's all, or I can just search my Bibles, I can just search books, or what have you. So I'm going to choose books, and I'm going to choose a word. Let's say that word is faith, and I'm going to hit enter. And look at what Logos does with that word faith in my book. So the first thing you see is a Factbook. Scott did a phenomenal job of showing you everything that's in Factbook. I have any books that have been downloaded, cloud books, but here it is, print books. Print books. So remember, I only have 3 in my library right now. I'm going to add a ton more later, but right now I have 3 books. So it says, here are the instances of the word faith that are in these books that I've now scanned. So not only does it tell me, it gives me a little excerpt, but if you can, it's really faint, so you may not see it, but it's telling me that in this book, which is the R.C. Sproul book entitled Romans, it tells me specifically what page to go to. In this case, page 109, right? And then this next instance, page 182. So now you can do your search. You're studying faith, let's say, and so you have all of these resources, book, and a bunch of other things that you normally use, your resources that you normally use. Now you can take that book off of the shelf and open it up to the page that Logos tells you, and this is page 182, 111, and now you can read along and study your print book in conjunction with the online library resources that you have in Faith Life or in
Hey,
Logos.
Chauncey.
Yes.
Chauncey, it was so funny. I was talking with Bishop Kenneth Ulmer a couple daeven ago. I had to tell him this feature 3 times before it clicked. Like he's like, no, I don't believe you. I don't know. I don't even know Scott. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, no. You literally scan. And he's like, Scott, what are you telling me right now? Now let me point out one thing, Chauncey. Yeah. The page number is huge, right? I go to that book right now, pull off page, go to page 109. There's my third. But there are books in the Logos format that we call ebooks. So if you go and type somebody and you see it called an ebook, it'll still do the searching, but won't give you the page number. I just want to point that out. So most of the titles at logos.com are true blue Logos books. All of the ones that you're showing right here give the page number. So I just want to point that out. If you scan a book, it will, and we have it, it'll search it. But if you don't get the page number, it's simply because we designate that something that we call an ebook. It's not a logos.com book per se.
Yeah, no, good call out. Good call out. So now I'm also going to show you what you get when you choose all. So again, this Man, I mean, Factbook is going to have a close second competition now. So if I type in faith, I want to look at all of my resources. So look here, it opens up Factbook, right? So your regular Factbook. So look at these cards that it's pulling up. So now the CSB is pulled up the CSB because that's now we used to call it preferred Bible, but now we go by the term top Bible. So the CSB is my top Bible in my library, and it shows me 548 verses that contain the word faith. You see faith, there's faithfulness, and so on. So I continue on. So I get to my documents. So anything that I created in Logos that are my documents, whether or not it's a sermon or some kind of reading list. So it's going to show me in my documents that I've created instances of the word faith. So I'm just going to keep scrolling down all these different articles. Now it gets to library. So I have 1,498 resources or results in my library that contain the word faith, right? So I just keep scrolling down. So all this information, now I get to questions and answers. So Scott mentioned that a minute ago. So it's going to pull up that information and then keep going. It's going to get to media. It's going to get to something called Faith Life Sermon. So anyone like or Logos user who's created a sermon and they've uploaded that sermon into the Faith Life of Logos library, you have access to it. And look at this 244,000 results of people who have written a sermon and they've uploaded it into Logos. And this is on mobile, by the way, too. So I don't know if Scott mentioned that, but so you go to your mobile and you could do a search, you're going to have access to all of these cards as well. You're going to get to another feature called popular quotations. And I'm going to show this in just a minute when we get to looking at how you can write sermons in Logos and the sermon builder and the enhancements to that. So popular quotes is one, and it just goes on and on and on. So again, I think that, close second, Scott, I don't know about you, but the new search feature is one that, man, I am completely in love with in the new Logos 10. So it was okay before, but it's really good now in my opinion. All right, so I'm going to go back to the home page, and now let's talk about writing sermons for a second now. So one of the things I hear a lot, travel and speaking at conferences, pastors come up to me all the time and say, hey, Chauncey, I want to upgrade, and I want to use Logos to build my sermons, but all of my sermons are in Microsoft Word, and, what do I do with them? And so what I used to tell them, hey, you can, select your sermon in Word, copy and paste, and then you have to play with the formatting. And yeah, it could be done. It was kind of a pretty decent, workaround. But now you don't have to worry about that because in Logos 10, we've come out with a new feature, and it's the ability to import your sermons into Logos from Microsoft Word. So what I did was I went to Tools and selected Sermon Manager. So for those of you who know about Sermon Manager, once you've created your sermons in Logos, they're all housed in the Sermon Manager. And so you can quickly click on whether or not it's by book or by speaker or location, and all of your sermons are housed right here. So you just move over to the top right-hand corner of the screen, click these little three dots, and you click the word import. Once you click import, you get a menu and it's saying, hey, you can import your sermon schedule from a CSV file or like an Excel file. So those of you who keep your preaching schedule in an Excel file, you can import it from here. But what we're looking for here is a sermon content. So now, as a caveat, it has to be in a .docx format in order for this to work. So again, if you have Microsoft Word, all of your sermons are in Word, you can import it in. So you just click Choose Files. And so once you click Choose Files, it's going to bring up your file manager. And so let's go with this one. It's called Ignorance is Bliss. This is a sermon that was in Word. You click Open, and just like that, it's done. So once you click, now here's your sermon. Automatically imported, it's automatically formatted. It even includes a slide. So it takes the title and creates a slide just like you've seen in Sermon Builder before. And here you go. So all of your sermon is all imported here. And if there's an instance, which I'm sure it would be, where you have a passage, you have that passage right here. You can hover over it. So it completely integrates your sermon into sermon builder. So that's going to save a ton of time, a lot of headache, and a lot of pastors are just going to absolutely love this. So let me show you this other feature within the sermon builder. I mentioned this just a minute ago when I did the search on faith, and it pulled up famous quotes. So if you look over here on the right-hand side, you can see my big arrow over here. You see these quotes, right? So when you click that, that opens a window for the popular quotes feature. So this is where you can type in a couple of words, and it's going to search this a collection of popular quotes that you could then use in your sermon. So let's say we want to type in and say, God is, I don't know, God is love, right? And so we click that. So look at these quotes. Here's a quote from John Calvin right out the gate. Whatever a person may be like, we must still love them because we love God. So we can use that. Or here's Charles Bridges. God loves to be consulted. Oswald Chambers. The springs of love are in God, not in us. Right. So let's say we wanted to use that one. Or just click and drag that over to the left. And there it is. So now I have my famous quote by Oswald Chambers in here. And notice it also created the graph as well. And so let's say I'm a big Oswald Chambers fan. I can click on that, and it's going to now show me a list of famous quotes from Oswald Chambers, all right here. And if I wanted to see where these quotes are coming from, I can click the source, and there it is, and it's going to pull up. So this, I think, is a tremendous advancement in building sermons. So no more issues with what to do with all those sermons that are in Microsoft Word. You click one button, and it's automatically switched over. Now, so got a couple minutes left. I want to show you just another feature that I think you will absolutely love, and that's in the workflows section of Logos. So over here in the left-hand side, and Scott mentioned this, it's been kind of redesigned, reworked. It now says guides/workflows. Now, if you've never used a workflow before, now's a great time to start. What a workflow is a listing, or maybe the best way to describe it is like a manual. A manual gives you step-by-step instructions. And so in Logos 10, there's a lot of different types of workflows, and you just pick one, and then it's going to guide you step by step. So you can do a biblical theme study, a biblical topic study, you can do an inductive Bible study, and so forth. So what we've done in Logos 10, we've added some new workflows. Now, someone in the chat, I think his name was Rylan, I think it was Rylan Brown, said that Haddon Robinson's workflow was fire, as he put it. So I'm just going to click on that. And so here we go. Here's the Haddon Robinson's 10 stages for preparing expository sermons. So let's say you wanted to write a sermon on, let's say, Luke 9. So just type in Luke 9. So you have a lot of different options in which, specific verses you want to use. But let's say we just generically pick Luke 9. We click a button, and let's expand this out so it'll be a little bit easier for you to see. So when I say Logos gives you step-by-step instructions, I literally mean step-by-step instructions. So let's see what Haddon Robinson's 10 stages are for writing an expository sermon. Step 1 on the left-hand side, select the passage. Well, that's important. Got to figure out what you want to do. Choose a passage, determine the textual perimeters, and then study the passage. You drop that arrow down, and it's going to give you a breakdown of what that means. Study the passage all the way through 10. Now look on the right-hand side, and it's going to give you even more detailed information as to what you're doing in that particular step and the reasons for why you need to do it. So you can see here, choose a passage, so it gives you an explanation as to why that's important. And then what are your reasons for choosing this passage? And you get a text box. So you can type in your reasons for choosing this passage, and that gets saved in a notes file. Right, so that's step 1.1. Right, and moving down to studying the passage in 2.1, 2.2 through 4, discover the exegetical idea. So you can click on any one of those. That breaks it down even further. Analyze the exegetical idea, determine the sermon's purpose, decide how to accomplish this purpose, outline the sermon, fill the sermon outline with supporting material, prepare the introduction, and so on. I can go on, and this is just one workflow. So we've added several new workflows to Logos 10. Again, that's just one. We have Dr. David Allen's text-driven 12-step preaching method. We have the expanded Christ-centered expositor workflow. So those are just some of the new ones. So if you've never used exposit or never used workflows before, again, now is a great time. We have the trusty ones that came out in L10 or L9, plus the new ones that have just come out in L10. So
hey, Chauncey, scroll a little bit. Scroll a little bit. I want them to see a little shout out, Dr. Ralph West.
Dr. Ralph West. There we go.
There we go.
Caruso Collective. Go to logos.com/Caruso. You can see what that's all about. And one of our and I think he's a Patriots fan too. So
yeah,
like Scott. I mean, but the Bible does say, we all sin and fall short of the glory of the Lord. And so, hey, that's what you get. So, so with that said, Scott, that's about an hour, man. And if you haven't gotten Logos 10 yet, I just say you need to stop playing around. Go get Logos 10. It'll be one of the best upgrades you've ever gotten from Logos. And of course, I'm a little biased, but that's okay.
And be mindful, every time we release a new version of Logos, we reconfigure the libraries. So as you know, with dynamic pricing, you never pay for a book twice. So you can either call us or go to the website. As long as you're signed into your account, the computer does its thing. It'll figure out what you already own, give you credit for that, and it'll tell you what you don't have. And a lot of times with some of these new advancements like timeline and all these advancements with church history, now I want more of that type of resource, right? Mm-hmm. So one of the things I love about Logos is when we develop a feature, features are tied to content. And so sometimes we release a new feature. I want more content to keep feeding that feature even more, right? So again, you can go to our website, you can compare libraries. I would encourage you to go to logos.com/10. There's some videos showing, again, some of the things that Chauncey and I did, or give us a call. I know yesterday was a little cray-cray. I don't know what the wait time was. We had some diehards who were like, I am waiting. I don't care how long it takes. But you can, again, go to logos.com as long as you're signed into your account. The computer knows what credits to give you and so on, and we'll give you the options. But I know a lot of you like to talk to somebody. Hey, this is who I am. This is the ministry needs I have, and so on. And you can talk to a specialist that will figure out the exact library and feature set you need. But with that, hey, thank you so much. I know smack dab middle of the day, some of you, you might have skipped your lunch to be a part of this. But hey, this is my favorite time working at Faith Life because Chauncey and I had nothing to do with the awesomeness. We have we have buildings full of brilliant people that love the Lord and praise God, love ones and zeros, and know how to code and move those little ones and zeros around to do all this awesomeness for you and your Bible study and your ministry and so on. So thank you to the Logos family. You are family. We love you. We hope you are happy with what we've been working on for the last couple of years, but I'm telling you, it's awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. But
and
with
one
that,
last thing, Scott, one last thing, Scott,
I
just want to point out, for people that may have been exposed to Logos for the first time now, this 1 hour didn't even skim the surface of all. I mean, not even close. I mean, we were looking at, okay, Scott's going to talk about this, I'm going to talk about that. And it was like, there is no way possible we can do it justice in 1 hour. So that's why we're talking so fast. So like Scott said, go to logos.com, check it out, call the 800 number. The staff is ready to go. But this didn't even do it justice. So I couldn't end without saying that. It's so much more.
I tell people it's like test driving a Ferrari in the driveway. We kind of turned the key, revved up the engine a little bit, but this just game changer. So give us a call, go to the website. Again, thank you for sharing your afternoon with us. Afternoon in some places. I mean, we had Trinidad and we had Africa. We had all kinds of amazing visitors internationally, but God bless. Thank you for hanging out with Chauncey and I, and hopefully we'll do this again soon and show our next favorite 50 features or something like that, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.